Among the lost wonders of the ancient world, one name echoes with an almost mythical resonance: the Labyrinth of Egypt. It was not merely a structure, but an idea, a monument so vast, so complex, that it haunted the accounts of history's first great chroniclers. Pliny the Elder, Strabo, and most vividly, the Greek historian Herodotus, all wrote of it not as a building, but as a world unto itself. Herodotus, a man who had stood in the shadow of the Great Pyramid, declared the labyrinth a work that surpassed even those timeless monuments in both labor and expense. He described a sprawling edifice of over 1,000 rooms, a dizzying maze of courts and colonnades, so immense that all the temples of Karnak and Luxor could have fit comfortably within its footprint. For centuries, his account was dismissed as fantasy, the fanciful exaggeration of a storytell whole by the sands of time. Then, the whispers of the ancients pointed to one location: the Hawara Pyramid, nestled near the lush Fayum oasis. To the modern eye, the site is unassuming, a weary mound of earth surrendering to the elements. Yet it was here that the legend began to solidify into fact. Herodotus had written of a nearby lake, Moeris, from which two pyramids rose an astonishing 93 meters from the surface of the water, each crowned by a colossal seated statue. For millennia, this too was considered impossible fiction. But in the late 19th century, the famed British archaeologist Flinders Petrie unearthed the foundations of two immense seated figures, each crafted from hard quartzite sandstone and standing some 18 meters high. Herodotus, it seemed, was not a fabulist, but a witness. This vindication drove investigators to look closer at the crumbling pyramid itself. Beneath its decayed exterior of mud brick, they discovered something extraordinary. The pyramid's core was a megalithic masterpiece, built with a precision that defies its humble facade. The masonry is of an almost unparalleled quality, with massive blocks fitted so perfectly that not even a fine blade can be slipped between them. Here, two distinct ages of technology collide: an inner sanctum of enduring, masterfully cut stone, shrouded by a more fragile outer construction that has long since crumbled away. Flinders Petrie was the first to understand the scale of the loss. He determined that the pyramid's magnificent Roman era quarried for its fine materials to build new settlements. The greatest wonder of the ancient world had not vanished. It had been recycled, its stones scattered across the landscape. The Labyrinth of Hawara stands as a profound testament to the impermanence of even the most monumental human endeavors. Its true form now exists only in the mind's eye, pieced together from the words of ancient visitors and the faint ghostly outline on the desert floor. It reminds us that even the most colossal achievements can be reclaimed by the earth, leaving behind not a monument, but a mystery, a silent, sprawling ghost of stone and ambition. The limestone casing, once gleaming white under the Egyptian sun, has been stripped away, plundered by now lies exposed to the relentless elements. This is Hawara, and its secrets begin with a profound defiance of tradition. Here, the sacred conventions of 1,000 years. Instead, it lies at ground level on the southern flank, an anomaly that immediately signaled to its discoverer, Flinders Petrie, that this was no ordinary tomb. Inside, he found not a simple corridor, but descending passages flanked by curious ramps. The design was powerfully evocative of a system built for maneuvering immense, heavy objects, a clue that hinted at a purpose beyond the purely sepulchral. This unique layout, a deviation from the established architectural language of the pharaohs, led Petrie to suspect that he was not merely exploring a grave, but a complex and multi-layered machine. Deeper within the pyramid's suffocating darkness, he confronted its defenses. A series of ingenious, yet ultimately futile security measures. Gargantuan trapdoors, monolithic slabs of stone weighing approximately 20 tons apiece, were engineered to slide into place and seal the passageways forever. Petrie discovered 3 such barriers, but none were in position. All had been left agape, silent stone witnesses to a forgotten violation, their purpose thwarted by ancient hands. His exploration culminated in a chamber that defied belief. It was not constructed, but carved, hollowed out from a single titanic block of quartzite sandstone. A monolithic vessel, weighing over 110 tons, had been honed with a geometric perfection that seemed to defy the tools of the age. Petrie himself could only marvel at the audacity of its creators, pondering the technical skill required to not only shape such a mass, but to lower it with absolute precision into a perfectly excavated hollow deep within the pyramid's core. Yet the engineering marvel concealed a profound enigma. The chamber had no visible entrance. The only way the pharaoh's body could have been placed inside its sarcophagus was for it to have been interred during the pyramid's construction. He was sealed within his stone vessel before the final courses of the pyramid were laid above him, entombed within a stone box, within a mountain of his own making. Even more bewildering was the deafening silence of the walls. No inscriptions, no hieroglyphs, no names or titles, a complete and intentional void where a king's legacy should have been etched for eternity. Instead of royal splendor, Petrie found only a grim tableau of destruction. Within the sarcophagus lay the faint traces of charred bones, mixed with charcoal and the remnants of burnt diorite. Whatever and whoever had been laid to rest here had been systematically incinerated, a deliberate and final act of erasure. The mystery only deepened. In the same chamber, Petrie examined a second sarcophagus, one that was clearly an afterthought. Smaller, cruder, and lacking the sublime precision of the original, it appeared to have been added long after the pyramid's completion. It was as if this sacred space had been repurposed, its history overwritten with a new, unknown chapter. The pyramid had lived more than one life, each adding another layer to its inscrutable story. While Petrie wrestled with the secrets of the pyramid, he uncovered evidence of a far greater wonder buried nearby. He had found the foundations of the legendary Labyrinth of Egypt, a structure so vast and magnificent it had been immortalized in the texts of ancient historians. The Greek writer Herodotus had described it as a sprawling complex of 3 long, though famously forbidden from entering the subterranean halls, for they were said to house the tombs of the kings who built the labyrinth, and, more sacred still, the tombs of the deified crocodiles. Yet what Herodotus was permitted to see of the upper courts left him awestruck, a wonder he claimed surpassed even the pyramids themselves. Centuries later, the geographer Strabo would walk its colonnades, echoing the astonishment of those who came before. Today, only the faintest traces of this colossal structure remain, a ghost on the landscape. The pyramid stands as its lone, battered sentinel. It guards the memory of a king whose name was erased by fire, and sits atop a labyrinth that has dissolved back into the desert. The stones may have been carried away, the inscriptions burned to dust, But the questions left behind are more enduring than the monuments themselves. Whispers of a lost world, waiting for the sand to finally give up its dead. The whispers of the ancient world spoke of a colossus, a structure so vast and complex it defied the imagination. Herodotus, Strabo, and the great chroniclers of antiquity described a labyrinth in Egypt, its monolithic ceilings and walls hewn from single, enormous slabs of stone. They wrote of a building that surpassed even the great pyramids in its ambition, a monument to a civilization at the apex of its power. For millennia, these accounts were dismissed as romantic exaggeration, the fables of a bygone age. Centuries would pass before one man, the pioneering English archaeologist Flinders Petrie, arrived at the foot of the Hawara Pyramid, convinced the legend was rooted in fact. In the late 19th century, he began the arduous task of excavating the plateau, peeling back the layers of time. He first cleared the detritus of a later Roman-era village, its simple foundations a shallow mask over something far older. Beneath it, his teams struck a dense, sprawling carpet of stone chips and limestone fragments, the unmistakable graveyard of a titan. This was not the debris of a minor structure. It was the pulverized remains of something on an incomprehensible scale. Petrie concluded that he was standing upon the foundations of the fabled Labyrinth. The evidence aligned perfectly with the ancient accounts. The scale of the devastation was matched only by the scale of the original vision. Petrie calculated that the entire temple complexes of Karnak and Luxor could fit comfortably within the labyrinth's original perimeter. But its very grandeur had been its undoing. For centuries, the structure had served as a convenient quarry for later generations, its magnificent stones plundered and repurposed, its glory systematically dismantled until all that remained was this ghost, this faint architectural echo in the sand. Petrie had found the legend, but he had found it in ruins. And yet, his findings confirmed that this was far more than a mere building. It was a statement, a monumental work of engineering that had once left the ancient world breathless. But Petrie's conclusion that only a ghost remained would not be the final word. The secrets of Hawara were buried deeper than even he could have known. In the 21st century, a new generation of explorers arrived, armed not with the spade and brush, but with technology that could see through the earth itself. Ground-penetrating radar and advanced geophysical tools offered the ability to map the unseen world beneath the sand, sending silent pulses deep into the bedrock. In 2008, the Mataha project, a team of Belgian and Egyptian specialists, deployed this technology across the very area Petrie had identified. They were searching for the faint outline of a foundation. What their instruments revealed was not the ghost of a foundation, but the solid, undeniable anatomy of a living structure. The scans painted an astonishing picture, a vast, subterranean network of walls, chambers, and passageways laid out with geometric precision. The colossal structure existed at depths of 8 to 12 meters, a sprawling complex that matched the impossible descriptions of the classical writers. Then, the stunning implication began to dawn, a revelation that would reframe Petrie's entire discovery. The layer of stone chips he had so carefully documented was remarkably uniform, a flat, thick ceiling of debris. What if he had not been standing on the labyrinth's floor? What if he had been standing on its roof? The data suggested that the great labyrinth of Hawara had not been entirely destroyed. Much of it had simply sunk beneath the weight of millennia, its upper levels sheared off, but its main body still intact, perfectly preserved in the cool, silent darkness underground. But this monumental discovery, a find that could rewrite chapters of Egyptian history, was not met with celebration. It was met with silence. An official request came down from Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, then led by the formidable Zahi Hawass. The findings were to be suppressed. The official reason given was startling in its ambiguity: matters of national security. For 2 years, the Mataha team faced obstacles and delays, their paradigm-shifting data held back from the world. When the results were finally permitted to be published, they confirmed the impossible: a subterranean world waiting just beneath the surface. The Great Labyrinth of Hawara teaches us a profound lesson: that history is not a static collection of ruins on the surface, but a layered reality, with entire worlds waiting just beneath our feet. The greatest secrets are not always lost to time, but are merely sleeping, waiting for the right key to unlock the door between what we think we know and what is yet to be revealed. Beneath the shifting sands of the Fayum oasis, a legend has stirred for millennia. Ancient accounts, from Herodotus to Strabo, spoke of a structure so vast, so complex, that it dwarfed even the Great Pyramids. A subterranean labyrinth of countless halls and chambers, a monument to a forgotten age. For centuries it was dismissed as myth, but in 2008, a team of researchers armed with ground-penetrating radar finally published their report. Their findings were staggering. They confirmed the existence of a colossal structure hidden deep beneath the earth, a labyrinth far larger than any temple known in Egypt. Its scale is almost incomprehensible. A sprawling complex of corridors and rooms, its complexity raises profound questions about its purpose. Why would a civilization invest such monumental effort to build an underground world, and for what reason? Some speculate it was a secret repository, a library of stone, meant to preserve priceless artifacts or sacred knowledge from the ravages of time. Others theorize it was a grand ceremonial center, its labyrinthine passages designed to disorient, to humble, to awe any who dared to enter. A physical journey mirroring a spiritual one. Yet one of the most unsettling aspects of this phantom palace is its apparent age. The entire structure is tilted, askew by 20 to 25 degrees when compared to the nearby Hawara pyramid of Amenemhat III. This misalignment suggests it was not built in concert with the pyramid, but long before it. It points to a different celestial orientation, a different pole star, a different epoch. If true, the labyrinth predates the pharaohs. It could be a relic from a civilization far more ancient, a culture whose name and history have been completely erased from the record. The mystery only deepens as we look elsewhere. The Egyptian landscape is riddled with such anomalies, architectural footprints that do not fit the established narrative. At Abu Ruash, investigators can descend into the core of a ruined pyramid, a unique feature not found in other such monuments. Deep inside, the limestone gives way to a perfectly carved, impossibly deep pit. The walls are not rough-hewn, but scored with inexplicable marks. Precise, uniform striations run across the hard red granite, evidence of a tool, a blade, that sliced through one of the hardest stones on Earth. How was this accomplished? And more baffling still, how did they transport these colossal blocks of Aswan granite to this mountainous, remote location? The logistics defy our understanding of the era. This pattern of profound engineering enigmas continues at Zayat El Arian, where another massive pit seems to exist outside of recorded history. Its origins are a blank page, its construction marked by a baffling precision that seems utterly modern. Its purpose remains a subject of intense debate, another monumental question mark carved into the bedrock of Egypt. From the buried labyrinth of Hawara to the inexplicable pits of Abu Ruash and Zayat El Arian, these sites form a constellation of mysteries. They are not merely structures, they are echoes of a lost science, a forgotten power. The subterranean chambers have yet to be fully explored. No one knows what secrets lie sealed within them. Could they still contain treasures, texts from an antediluvian age? Could they hold the key to the true origins of Egyptian civilization, or perhaps a civilization that came before? For now, these questions remain unanswered. The great labyrinth lies dormant, buried beneath suffocating layers of earth and time, its silence a testament to how little we truly know about our own past. The stone keeps its secrets, waiting. Beneath the shifting sands of the Egyptian desert, where time is measured in dynasties and silence holds the memory of empires, a story thought lost to myth is resurfacing. Modern instruments peering through the earth with waves and pulses have returned faint echoes from the deep, ghostly outlines of vast, unseen chambers, of corridors buried in eternal darkness. They hint at the rediscovery of a place that has haunted the historical imagination for millennia, the great labyrinth of Hawara. Once whispered to be a vault for pharaonic secrets and a necropolis for sacred crocodiles, it is now emerging from legend, proving to be more complex, more awe-inspiring, and more chilling than the ancients dared to describe. For over 2 millennia, the labyrinth was a phantom, a grand obsession for historians and adventurers. The Greek chronicler Herodotus, traveling through Egypt in the 5th century before the Common Era, was the first to bring its tale to the wider world. He wrote of a colossal structure near the Fayum oasis that seemed to defy the limits of human engineering. His account describes a building of impossible scale, containing 3,000 rooms in total, 1,500 of them arrayed above the ground, and another 1,500 in a subterranean world below. He walked its bewildering passages, but only to a point. The Egyptian priests, guardians of its secrets, refused him access to the lowest chambers, confessing that they held the tombs of the kings who conceived the labyrinth, and, more mysteriously, the sarcophagi of the sacred crocodiles. Herodotus wrote of its roofed courts, its endless stone corridors lined with intricate carvings, and its gleaming white marble pillars. He was a man who had seen the wonders of his world, yet he was humbled, proclaiming that this single structure surpassed even the great pyramids in its sheer magnificence. It was, in the words of the later geographer Strabo, a work beyond description, a marvel one could hardly believe was built by the hands of men. Today, the weathered pyramid of the pharaoh Amenemhat III stands as a lonely sentinel at Hawara. It appears as a crumbling mound of mud brick, a monument surrendering to the desert, offering little clue to the architectural colossus that once lay at its foot. Over the centuries, the labyrinth was not merely forgotten, it was erased. Its grand halls were systematically torn apart, its stones quarried and repurposed by Roman and later civilizations. Its memory bled into the foundations of other cities. In the 13th century, a canal was cut directly through the site, a final act of desecration that flooded and sealed whatever remained beneath a layer of silt and water. Before long, all that was left were scattered ruins and the fading echo of a magnificent maze. The trail went cold for ages. Then, in the year 1888, the pioneering archaeologist Flinders Petrie arrived at Hawara, determined to chase the ghost that Herodotus had described. Digging near the foot of Amenemhat's pyramid, his team struck the stone foundations of an immense building. It was the first physical proof that the legendary labyrinth was real. The layout Petrie painstakingly uncovered spanned an area of roughly 300 by 120 meters, the footprint of a structure of staggering proportions. Amid the rubble, he found statues of Amenemhat III and of the crocodile god Sobek, confirming this was indeed the sacred complex from the ancient texts. He even came across cartouches bearing the name of Amenemhat's daughter, the queen Sobekneferu, suggesting this powerful female pharaoh had added her own touches to its hallowed halls. But it was another of Petrie's discoveries that underscored the labyrinth's eerie reputation. The site was a vast reptilian cemetery. His team unearthed dozens of mummified crocodiles, a silent congregation of the sacred beasts. They ranged from 15-foot adult monsters, their scales still intact after thousands of years, to tiny, perfectly preserved hatchlings. Some were even revealed to be dummy mummies, intricate bundles of reeds and clay shaped to resemble a crocodile, consecrated and buried as if they were real. Here was the physical evidence of the cult Herodotus had been warned about, a place where humanity's architectural genius was placed in service to a primal reptilian god. The labyrinth was not merely a palace or a temple. It was a machine of ritual, a terrestrial gateway to the underworld, guarded by the spirit of the crocodile. The structure above ground may have been for the living, but the unseen chambers below were a sanctum for the dead, both human and animal. As new technology begins to map these hidden depths, we are not just rediscovering a lost building. We are confronting the scale of an ancient belief system, one that saw divinity in the river's most fearsome predator, and built a monument greater than the pyramids to honor it. The labyrinth guards its deepest truths still, a puzzle of stone and spirit, reminding us that what lies buried beneath our feet is often a world far stranger than any we could invent. Within hollow reeds, brittle with the passage of ages, lie the unsettling remnants of ancient piety, the unhatched calcified egg of a Nile crocodile, the bleached bone of a juvenile. These were not random burials, but devotional offerings to a reptilian god, Sobek, the lord of the Fayum. This macabre crocodile cemetery, unearthed from the sands of Hawara, did more than merely confirm the accounts of the Greek historian Herodotus. It was a profound revelation, proving that this site had evolved into a major cult center, a place of pilgrimage and divine communion in the later periods of Egyptian history. But even this triumph was incomplete, a discovery made only at the periphery of a much greater enigma. For beneath the surface, the heart of the legend, the labyrinth itself, still lay out of reach. An intractable enemy stood guard, the high, persistent water table of the oasis. It had infiltrated the structure's foundations, submerging its lower chambers in a liquid tomb. For decades, the maze remained literally underwater, its most profound secrets drowned and off-limits. Every attempt to breach these buried halls was defeated. Expeditions armed with shovels and pumps were repelled by an unforgiving siege of flooding and suffocating mud, leaving the puzzle unsolved, the great structure a tantalizing ghost. The lost labyrinth lingered, confirmed to exist, yet concealed by the twin veils of sand and water, awaiting a future it could not have conceived. Only now, in the 21st century, has technology forged the keys to this sunken kingdom. Ground-penetrating radar sends silent pulses into the Earth, charting the contours of what lies beneath. Satellite scans, peering down from the heavens, detect subtle thermal and topographical anomalies invisible to the naked eye. Together, they have revealed the unmistakable outline of an enormous, ghostly, rectangular structure buried beneath the sands. A phantom grid of walls and chambers, its sheer scale and complexity matching the legendary layout described 2.5 millennia ago. Then, in the year 2023, a landmark study swept away all doubt, confirming the findings with chilling precision. Extensive underground chambers exist, exactly where the maze was long said to be. Herodotus's mythical labyrinth was no myth at all. Science had finally caught up with antiquity. Today, a new generation of researchers stands at the precipice of discovery, preparing to do what no one has accomplished for millennia: to enter the labyrinth itself. Ambitious proposals are being drawn, plans to systematically pump out the suffocating water, to sift through the silt of ages, and to carefully excavate the sunken halls. In the interim, a digital resurrection is already underway. Experts are painstakingly using the scan data to create virtual three-dimensional reconstructions of the complex, digitally mapping its vast two-tiered architecture. Bit by bit, they are reanimating the colossal vision of the pharaoh Amenemhat III, who raised this wonder nearly 3,800 years ago. It was far more than a tomb. It was his mortuary temple, a sacred nexus where the king was to be worshipped as a god for centuries after his death. Egyptologists believe that fully uncovering this site could dramatically alter our understanding of ancient Egyptian civilization. The possibilities are as thrilling as they are eerie. What will emerge when the labyrinth is finally breached? There may be royal sarcophagi down there, sealed away from the world for almost 4 millennia. There could be caches of papyrus scrolls, library archives that could rewrite the annals of history, filling in the blank pages of a distant past. Indeed, some speculate that the labyrinth's deepest, most inaccessible chambers might hold archives from Egypt's earliest dynasties, a colossal vault of lost knowledge, deliberately hidden away. The maze was, by its very nature, designed to guard something of immeasurable importance. One can almost feel the ancient warnings embedded in its design, the spectral presence of traps and dead ends still waiting in those lightless, silent corridors. The lost labyrinth of Hawara is now stepping from the realm of legend into the stark light of reality. After eons of obscurity, this silent giant beneath the sand is poised to speak, to reveal its secrets to the world. It is a moment that separates history from mythology, a threshold between what was imagined and what will be known. The question is no longer if its secrets will be revealed, but whether we are truly prepared for the answers it holds. Beneath the shifting sands of Egypt, a wonder whispered into legend by the historian Herodotus is stirring once more. Through the patient gaze of modern technology, the great labyrinth of Hawara, a subterranean world of 3,000 chambers, begins to surrender its secrets. It is a rediscovery as illuminating as it is unsettling. Yet this colossal structure may only be a prelude. Evidence now points to an even deeper complex, a foundational layer of engineering so vast it defies the accepted capabilities of the ancient world. We are forced to confront the possibility that the civilizations we excavate were themselves built upon the ruins of something far older, a history lost not to time, but to memory itself.